宮本伊織見印庄内
上等。
As a big fan of the Fate series, I've played around with a few of the games available, finding moments of enjoyment scattered throughout. And now, after finishing Fate Samurai Remnant, I can confidently say this is the best one I've played so far, and I'm here today to show you why. Going into this game, I had some idea of what the gameplay would be like, but I had no idea what was in store for me when it came to the story. I can safely say the story is great, and as a Fate fan, it gave me the same level of mystery and drama you would expect from something related to the series. I found myself really getting attached to the main characters, Iori and Saber, more and more as I played through the game, and along the way I enjoyed learning about each and every master's personal struggles and their reasonings for being in the war, or the circumstances that led them to this story. This was a similar feeling I had when watching anime like Fate Zero, Unlimited Blade Works, and the Fate Grand Order Babylonia series. It wouldn't be Fate without a group of historical figures reimagined as cool anime characters, and this game delivers exactly that too. The group of servants here are all unique in both design and the historical background, making the constant mystery of trying to figure out who each and every one of them are throughout the whole game as fun as always. If you've played a decent amount of the mobile game Fate Grand Order, there are a few here you can recognize, and they're represented so well in this game, breathing more life into them and adding some very interesting twists to others. Speaking of which, Musashi is hands down my favorite addition to the game, being such a lively, charismatic character that steals the show every time she's on screen. If you're an FGO fan, you already know what to expect from her, and she hasn't changed at all. It doesn't stop there though, because this game thankfully gives you the opportunity to play as her and many of the servants you see in the game. And it's extremely fun discovering all the spectacular things they can do, as well as finding out their true names and unleashing their noble phantasms. Although there are quite a few servants to play around with, the person you'll be playing with most of the time is Iori, the main character of the game. And trust me, he has a lot to his gameplay to be excited about too. Unique to himself, he can switch between several different fighting styles that you can unlock throughout the game, giving you different ways to tackle fights against all kinds of enemies, as well as having a wide variety of magic spells to use too. It's more than just a Dynasty Warriors type of game, leaning more into the action RPG genre, which was very enjoyable as I feel this style of gameplay offers a lot more depth rather than endless button mashing. At random points during fights, Saber also calls out to Iori to perform Link Strikes, a flashy combination attack that uses one of the special abilities she can learn throughout the game. And, of course, you can switch into her and any of your current partnered rogue servants to change the tide of fights with their powerful moves. I played the game on the highest difficulty option at the start of the game, and while in the beginning the game is fairly easy, it definitely steps up the difficulty later on, especially with the boss fights. Somewhere in the latter half of the game, you also get the opportunity to replay previous boss fights for extra rewards. So for anyone who loves the challenge, there's plenty of incentive there to dive back into the fight. As much as I had fun playing, I believe the combat could be tightened up more, as the dodge mechanic feels pretty loose and doesn't have that heavy impact to it in the same way other games like Devil May Cry 5 or the Bayonetta series do when it comes to counter-attacking and stringing together all the moves in your arsenal in fun and creative ways. Outside of fighting, you'll be traveling to various hub worlds in the land of Edo, Japan, in the year 1651, completing tasks for townspeople, collecting items, and running into rogue servants through side missions called digressions, where completing them gives you the opportunity to recruit the characters as playable allies, in both combat and the strategy game called Spirit Front, where you move yourself and allies around like chess pieces to claim spots on the board and ultimately overrun your opponent. I thought this was a nice change of pace, and besides all the hand holding in most of the times you get to play it, I really got into the swing of creating minor strategies to claim as many places as I could without running out of turns to move. Again, if you've played FGO, this may seem familiar to you, as it heavily resembles a game mode introduced to the game a while back. Aside from this mode, there are a few smaller mini games you're introduced to as you progress through the game, that allow you to gain items, temporary experience buffs, and other things to help with various upgrades you can make to many things in the game. Speaking of which, I was surprised to see the amount of upgrades you can make, from the extensive skill trees of Yori, Saber, and every playable servant, to different aspects of your weapon and various quality of life upgrades you can make through your in-game workshop as long as you have the materials. These will sometimes work between each other, so you're encouraged to upgrade everything to gain access to new skills and so on. Going back to digressions, the bigger side quests of the game, I really enjoyed some of the stories in them, with the way they revealed the unique nature of each servant. However, underneath all that, they were essentially fetch quests, but are still attached to some nice story, fun Easter eggs for Fate fans, and a special payoff at the end for playing through the quest line, so I definitely recommend exploring them all. On a side note, although there are side missions, the game doesn't feel free to explore until around the 10-hour mark, where you're given several side quests to pick between, and are completely missable if you progress too far in the main story. Also, at certain points in the main story, you are given the choice to progress one of two ways, and depending on which option you choose, there are digressions you will completely miss out on during your first playthrough. For instance, I missed out on the Rogue Saber quest and wasn't able to learn their true name or recruit them as an ally, which on one hand is a shame, but adds to the replayability of the game. The game also features several endings, so there's even more of an incentive to go back a second or third time. I'm sure as a non-Fate fan watching this, there are a few terms I've mentioned that you may not understand, but that's completely fine, as this game does a great job at explaining the basic concepts of the Fate series to anyone who hasn't seen any of the previous material, so you'll never feel lost at any point. In the end, Fate Samurai Remnant excels in capturing the essence of the Fate series by delivering a captivating story that explores the conflicting beliefs and desires of its characters, and you can tell a lot of genuine effort was put into this game. From start to finish, the game is filled with fun, action-packed gameplay, driven by characters who navigate their own paths in various interesting ways. Whether you're a fan of the series or new to it all, I recommend picking up this game, as it fully embodies the essence of Fate and offers an enjoyable experience for everyone.
凄まじい。まさに思考。絶技の中の絶技。まさに幼い頃に垣間見た剣聖の技。ならばこそ